ボブ・ウッドワードとロバート・コスタが執筆し、今月アメリカで発売されるペリル危険という本に書かれた内容が米国保守派の怒りを買っています。この本によると、米軍の統合参謀本部議長マーク・ミリー大将が、中国人民解放軍のリー上将に対して、アメリカが軍事攻撃を開始する場合は事前に通告する、と約束したそうです。マーク・レビンは FOX ニュースで、この件について、ミリー大将の行動を強く批判しています。視点を変えてみると、リベラル派のジャーナリストたちがトランプ政権を批判する本を売るために、あえてトランプ大統領や保守派を焚きつけるようしようとしているのかもしれません。FOX ニュースの映像です。
As we mentioned, breaking at the top of the show, outrage growing tonight over excerpts from a new book by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa of the Washington Post. Acclaimed Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley promised China's top general advance warning if Donald Trump, as president, launched an attack during his final days in office. Well, now the Pentagon hasn't yet issued an on-the-record statement. Some sources are telling Fox's own Jennifer Griffin that Milley never did explicitly promise China a heads up. So we're going to follow this story obviously very closely, but Milley is the highest ranking uniformed officer in the U.S. military. And two top Washington Post writers are reporting that he undermined a duly elected commander-in-chief, promising to provide one of our country's most serious enemies with advance notice should we need to attack them. Now, tonight, many are wondering if this is true. Is this treason? Will Milley be punished? Will he be tried, court-martialed? Anyway, should he ever be trusted again? Here with his take on all of this, we call him the Great One for a reason. 8 consecutive weeks, #1 New York Times bestseller. Now over 1 million copies sold. It's called American Marxism. Call him the Great One, Mark Levin, also Life, Liberty, and Levin. Mark, I'll let you take it from here on General Milley.
Well, we're experiencing American Marxism, aren't we? A couple of things here, Sean. Number one, Woodward and Costa are reporters for the Washington Post. It takes 2.5 to 3 months to print a book. That means Woodward and Costa and the Washington Post, if this is true, sat on this story for months and months. Why would two reporters sit on a story like this for months and months and allow this man, who I believe, if this is true, is utterly unhinged, to serve as the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? You have two so-called journalists who sat on this for 2 or 3 months, a news story. They're journalists. I'm not. Why would they do something like that? You know why, Sean? This is what Woodward does. They drop this before the Sunday, before his books are released. They get everybody worked up and stirred up. Maybe they should be, maybe they shouldn't. He'll be on all the Sunday shows. So he and Costa, two so-called reporters, can make millions of dollars off this book. And what does this book do? It's certainly in the front end. It attempts to trash President Trump. Let's take a look very briefly at this. So people should boycott this book. People should not reward these people at all for their conduct as so-called journalists. Journalism is corrupt and it's dead in this country. But let's look at the story. First of all, it says in the middle of the story, Perel, the author, says, based on interviews with more than 200 people conducted on the condition they not be named as sources. Who the hell writes a book with 200 anonymous sources? 200? Well, we have the tapes. We have the notes. Yeah, but we don't. The American people, this is our country. Don't we get to make a judgment about these things? It's not about Woodward, Costa, and the Washington Post. What kind of a news organization is this? And if this did happen, it's big news. I've spent my life studying and defending the Constitution of the United States. You have here Mark Milley, not once but twice, before the election and after, contacts the head of the communist military in China, our #1 enemy. And the first time he does it, it's based on he's concerned China's worried our military exercises in the South China Sea, deepened by Trump's belligerent rhetoric toward China. So he calls China around the back of the commander-in-chief and tells them, don't worry about him. I have him under control, pretty much. What? And then after the election, he calls and he says, quote, General Lee, you and I have known each other for now 5 years. If we're going to attack, I'm going to call you ahead of time. It's not going to be a surprise. If the United States military, just theoretically, is going to attack China, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff knows every step of it, he's going to tell the enemy? If that's true, this SOB needs to be out of there as fast as possible, without a debate. What else does he do? He basically, according to this article, if it's true, he tells his subordinate officers basically to take an oath of loyalty to him. To him. General Milley, probably the worst general we've ever had. If this story is true, and if the story is false, my God, General Milley, you're going to own the Washington Post. Why don't you come out and tell the American people everything?
Naるほど、こういった形でやってるのかなと私自身は思ったわけですけども、
私たちは彼は今回この J-CPAC に来ることを本当に心から望んでいました。たった20年で東京にオリンピックも来たんです。
Within a very, very large business that has locations all over the world.
And welcome to the 4th annual Japan Conservative Union Conference.
Thank you for inviting me to speak with you today on the topic of the environment, energy security, and U.S.-Japanese relations.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to join you for CPAC Japan 2020.
課題認識については世界から見ればもう何週も周回遅れしていると、そういう危機感を持っております。
東南アジアの国、欧州の国、いろんなその価値と戦略的利益と価値を共有する国との間で経済、技術を含めた相対的な安全保障、広い意味での経済安全保障の面も含めてネットワークを強化する。
このお二人やあるいは僕のような非力な人間の力だけだととてもできないから、日本の主人公は皆さんだけなので、主権者が僕らの話を今日もヒントにしていただいて、そういうことが分かる議員に投票する。